Hey you guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Recast. Today I'm joined with Disgustor, Vlad, and Xeeynamo, some people working on the OpenKH project. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But first I'll let them introduce themselves. Start with Disgustor.
Hi, I go by Disgustor on YouTube. I've been in the modding community for about 7 years now,
Wow,
and
really?
yeah, I started back in the days of Cage vids, back when they were translating KH1 Final Mix before the HD collections ever came out.
Oh wow, that's cool.
My name is Vlad. I have been in the Kingdom Hearts modding community for I think about 4 years now. Back in like mid to late 2016. Um, I had always like kind of kept up with the mods, but I was never super involved until around then. I had been interested, though I had experience modding other games before. Like I was really big on Pokemon ROM hacks. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, I just kind of moved on to Kingdom Hearts, and since then I've just had a lot of fun, stuck around,
Mm.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, hi, I'm Xeeynamo, and I think that I am to the Kingdom Hearts modding community since 2010, and I mostly started
Whoa.
with the
Wow.
translation of Kingdom Hearts to Final Mix in both Italian and English. But I'm actually modding games since I think 13, 14 years, and I remember that I
Wow.
started with Sonic Adventure DX on PC
Oh yeah.
with some horrible texture hacking,
Mm.
right?
Oh,
Well, I
that's
guess
cool.
someone has to start from somewhere.
Mm. Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, we'll do a couple like ice-breaking questions first. First, obviously, is how did you guys get into Kingdom Hearts? We can kind of do the same left to right format of Disgustor, Vlad, and then Xeeynamo. You guys want to do that?
I was a fan of Kingdom Hearts 1 before the game even came out in the US. I saw the commercial and I was really excited for it, because I was in the first or maybe kindergarten or first grade,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw the first commercial, and I was just getting into anime at that time, and I thought it just looked really cool that all my favorite kitty Disney characters were
Mm.
going to team up with a bunch of anime guys. I didn't know much about Final Fantasy at the time. Um,
Mm.
Although I think my brother-in-law had played Final Fantasy X and let me play it for a little while, so I was a
Okay.
little bit familiar, but not really.
Mm. Yeah, I never even knew the Destiny Island kids were from 10, or like some of them were from 10, until like years later. I thought it was just like, oh, it's Leon and Cloud from those Final Fantasy games. Everybody else is OC, right?
Yeah, I
So
I remember buying Final Fantasy X from a pawn shop because I liked Kingdom Hearts so much, and because I'd seen my brother-in-law play uh, Final Fantasy X before,
mhm.
and I liked the character from Kingdom Hearts, so
Yeah,
it's
no, Kingdom Hearts definitely got me into Final Fantasy because I never played it growing up because my parents didn't love anything like Final Fantasy related, even though I'm sure they don't know anything about it. But it was just like one of
yeah.
those things of like, oh, that they use magic. Oh no, that's not good. So yeah, like Kingdom Hearts was definitely my gateway into Final Fantasy, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But you, Vlad, how'd you get into Kingdom Hearts?
I actually didn't really hear about Kingdom Hearts until I remember seeing like a TV spot for Kingdom Hearts 2, and
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember like what I was doing that day or anything. But yeah, I just like caught it on TV and it just caught my interest. And I just so happened to have a friend
Mm.
over who was like, "Oh, I have that first game by the way," and we had just never played it somehow. So he introduced me to Kingdom Hearts 1, and I actually remember trading in one of my games just to like borrow it.
There was so
And
much trading. Like back when I was a kid, we'd
yeah,
always just like swap discs and
yeah, my parents were never happy about it, but yeah, I swapped Kingdom Hearts for like I don't know some Dragon Ball game or something,
mm,
and
nah, yeah,
yeah,
my
I
parents would be
mean
like, write your name on the back of it. Make sure they don't scratch it. Take a picture.
yeah, I
Like,
remember that too. They would like
yeah.
initial like all the discs and stuff,
Uh huh.
but yeah,
I still have a bunch of games that I got from GameStop back in the day that have like the name Kevin on it, which is not my name, or like the name James on it.
yeah,
Uh,
Oh man, that's really good.
yeah. I remember buying a bunch of used games like that too. But yeah, I mean, anyways, just after a little while, whenever Kingdom Hearts 2 or rather, whenever I got my own PS2, I got Kingdom Hearts 2 as one of my first games for that system. And I mean, yeah, I've just kind of stuck around for it ever since. Like, that is the game I think that really hooked me in. But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was great. Like it's, I know a
Yeah.
lot of friends that, like friends online that had the same story of like they never played the first one, but they saw the commercial for the second one, and so they went and played the first one, getting ready for the second one, and then the rest
pretty
is
much,
history.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't even
So-
know about Chain of Memories or anything until
Oh, no.
like years later. Like I saw Re-Chain of Memories in Walmart when I was like, God, I don't know, like 14 or something. I'm just like, what's that?
Yeah, right. I think I got packaged with my. It must have been KH2, I guess. I think they for some reason my GameStop had packaged both together. But yeah, Xeeynamo, how did you get into Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, I remember that back at the time, my parents bought a PlayStation 2, and with the PlayStation 2 came with a demo disc. And the only two things I was doing with this demo disc was playing a demo of Dark Cloud and watching.
Oh,
Yeah,
Dark Cloud! Oh my God,
it was such a good game.
that was a great game. Oh, damn, I never finished it. I don't think. So,
I
wow, that
did.
just like that hit me so hard.
I did years later. And the other one was this trailer of Kingdom Hearts 1. And I remember, I mean, I don't remember much from the trailer. Just remember this guy on this beach on this island, and then I saw Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters. I was like, okay, I need to play this. Then somehow I forgot to remember what the name of the game was called because I was more focused on games like Final Fantasy X, etc. But then one day, one of my friends was playing Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories on his GBA. I was like, okay, I think I remember this game. I asked him the title, and as soon as he told me that was called Kingdom Hearts, I bought the first chapter, played it, and that was one of my best games I ever played. And I
Yeah.
remember that was around 2004. So as soon as I completed the game, I think that some pictures and trailers of Kingdom Hearts 2 came out on the internet. I was really excited about that. But yeah, that's my story.
I
Yeah.
also remember the trailers and pictures for KH2. I was really excited for it when it was coming out. I remember downloading on dial-up internet like a 240p
Yes.
video of the KH2 trailer for like an hour. It was like a 3-minute trailer back in the day.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I remember trying to get on the internet. Like, did yours like beep at you too, like connecting?
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Of course, yeah.
It was like, oh, it was the worst. Anyways, yeah. How'd you guys get into the modding community then? Like, was it pretty natural, just like moving from, playing Kingdom Hearts to talking online about it to eventually modding it, or?
I don't remember exactly how I first heard about it, but I had been a lurker back in the day on KH Vids before I ever posted or modded anything, and I would use the cheat codes like play as Roxas and stuff with Codebreaker. I bought a Codebreaker disc specifically for KH2, and I don't remember exactly how I got into it, but I started posting at around 2013 or so, when the Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix translation started, and I started doing little texture mods and stuff of the characters, and none of it was very good because I was just getting started, but I had I think the first game I had tried to modify was Dissidia, and when they got custom models in that game, that was sort of like what sparked my interest and blew my mind, and thought, whoa, I can play as Sora in Dissidia. I wonder if I can play as X-Death in Kingdom Hearts 1 or something.
Okay, gotcha. And that was just like simple model swapping, or how did?
Well, when I first started out, it was just texture modding. We couldn't import custom models or anything.
So it was just literally like
cats.
slapping on like a texture on top of Sora's texture.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
some really bad old pictures that I'll give you to put
Yeah,
up.
you should
I
send it over
remember
so I can
seeing
put it
them.
up.
I remember seeing those back in the day too. Yeah.
But it was so cool. Like, I think about like when I first saw modding, and it would literally just be like texture swaps instead of what you guys do now, and it's crazy to see how far it's come.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely come really far.
Yeah, for sure. Vlad, how'd you step into the Kingdom Hearts modding community?
Uh, I mean, like I said, I just kind of had experience modding Pokemon ROM hacks back in the day, so I was like kind of familiar as to like what I'd be stepping into.
Mm-hmm.
I figured out, or rather, I found an extractor for Kingdom Hearts 2 online after just seeing a few mod videos,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided, I'm gonna take a crack at this. Extracted some games, figured out like how to navigate the files pretty easily, and just I had been stumped. I had no idea like what one like file type was, so I
Mm-hmm.
reached out to one of the prevalent modders at the time, and just asked, "Hey, what's this file type for? How can I modify it? Are there any tools to make it easier?" And he was just like, "Hey, how about you just join our little Skype group and we can just
Skype.
talk about it there."
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
they were
Yeah.
still using Skype
Mm-hmm.
back whenever I joined in. But
Oh, that's
yeah,
so good.
I mean, I got invited to that and asked my questions and showed progress on like stuff that I was working on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what had actually inspired me to even reach out and try my hand at it was Susmit DS was like working on the original iteration of HDification back then,
Oh,
which
oh.
is just like a backport, but like kind of a tweaked version of like certain assets to like fit within the confines of the PS2 version of the game, but still look better than it
Mm.
does now. So he had just kind of like vanished for a while, and I wanted to pick up where he left off. And I mean, eventually I did do that, but
Mm. And that's
um,
actually being pulled into OpenKH, right?
it can.
Okay.
I'm not like actively working on it, but
Uh-huh.
it's something that I just kind of like work on every now and again.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, OpenKH will definitely allow for things like that in the future, to whatever extent is possible. But I mean, yeah, I mean that's really how I got involved. I just kind of stuck around ever since then and made some great friends like these two here.
Xeeynamo, what's your story?
Yeah, my story. So, since I was a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan, I started to mod Sonic Adventure DX doing basically texture swapping, like like Disgustor.
Mm.
And the objective was to create my own original character, original Sonic character.
Mm. Oh,
And
like anybody, right? I
yeah,
feel like
but like
everyone went through that
anybody.
phase of creating their own Sonic OC.
Exactly. And but I remember I was quite unsatisfied about the modding on Sonic Adventure DX because there was no way to modify 3D models or
Mm.
level layout. So I remember that I jumped between games and games. Like, for example, one of the works I got most proud of is Mega Man X level editor.
I love Mega Man X.
Yeah, me too.
So good.
And finally, I got into Kingdom Hearts, and the only reason was because with the release of Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix,
Okay.
of course, I could not understand Japanese,
Yeah.
and no one of my friends could. So I remember that I beaten Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix twice in Japanese because I like that so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to remember at least kind of some symbols, like for example, okay, the specific amount of characters corresponds to, I don't know, potion or fire. But my friends has no time to to learn Japanese as I was doing just to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to just try and give a try and translate the game. So that's how it happened. I released that mod. I think it was 2012 or something like that.
Wow.
At the very beginning, it was just translated that into Italian because
Mm-hmm.
that's the language my friends were talking to.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw the potential to that, so I just say to myself, okay, let's translate that in English as well. It was a terrible translation, a terrible English translation, because of course English is not my native language.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's how I got into modding, and then on Kingdom Hearts modding.
Okay.
I think we all played your translation patch.
Yeah,
right?
I
I
was
was about to-
definitely gonna say I remember getting swap magic and burning a translated copy of the game with your patch just so I could understand the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good.
Oh my.
So that was a question that popped in my head is with everyone kind of being in different areas of the world, like, did you see different pockets of the modding community, or did everyone kind of like work together? Because that's a question I have for like, you know, content creators or like even fans. Like, I feel like there's these different pockets of people that you know, just have these international barriers that kind of keep them from
I
interacting.
don't think there. I don't really think there were ever any international barriers. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember when we first started. When I first started getting into this, there was Gledson. He lives in Brazil. There was Xeeynamo. He lives in Italy. In fact, I think the larger majority of modders and contributors to this project in general are not in the United States. So
Hmm.
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely kind of surprising to like have that revelation told to you, but yeah, I think more than half, maybe 60 to 70% of all modders for Kingdom Hearts games have just been non-US based, which I think that actually like kind of helps to like pull the modding scene together in a weird way because we've got so many like different ideas and just groups of people who
Yeah.
can, you know, just kind of like merge their ideas together, and like everyone for the most part has been very friendly about it too. Like we all seem to enjoy learning about each other and just you know having fun with what we do.
Yeah.
yeah. Some of my friends from this project are as good, if not better, than real life friends, and I have
Oh,
friends all over the world
sure.
thanks to this whole project. So
Yeah.
That's one thing. Because I was never really online as a kid, or like when I was younger, but just the amount of people and friends I've made online is insane. Like I have friends from, you know, like content creator friends or influencers, and like they're like close friends, and I'm like, what? This is it's just bizarre, kind of like to think like, oh, like this Kingdom Hearts game has connected me with so many cool people across the world. Like it's insane.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, true.
Some of my best friends are definitely like people that I've just met in this community
Yeah,
alone. So,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
it's kind of like magical in like a weird way that it happens that way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so you guys have talked a little bit about like older projects that you've worked on, like Sonic Adventure, Mega Man X. What are some projects that you guys have worked on in the Kingdom Hearts community before OpenKH? Although OpenKH, I guess you said started back in 2012, but like this, you know, like this up and coming project.
I've worked with Crazy Cats on a lot of things
Oh,
that he
yeah.
was involved in. I did the uh, along with Crazy Cats and another user named Parent MLS. We created the first English voiced Lingering Will in KH2 thing that
Oh,
was
really?
released on his channel and Parent MLS. Um, Along with that, I've helped in reverse engineering the 3D model format in Kingdom Hearts 2, and I contribute a lot of information to Soriko, who created
Oh, yeah.
the model builder. So I worked with him on that, although he's the sole programmer.
Hmm.
Um,
So reverse
and then
engineering the model do you mean like figuring out how they imported 3D models and then figuring out how you can import your own?
yeah, basically.
Cool.
I think those. I mean, those are really the biggest things. I've outside of OpenKH, I've contributed custom animations and models to ZGX's Vanitas and Aqua mods,
Oh, yeah.
which are truly incredible, and I would recommend anybody listening to this to check them out.
Yeah, they're great. They're really fun, yeah.
Regarding like things that I've worked on pre-OpenKH, like I mentioned earlier, Sussman DS stopped his HDification project, so I kind of picked up on that. And once I felt comfortable enough to like explore the game files and do things on my own, I kind of like restarted it, and since then I've definitely learned a lot. But I mean, I can't really say that I've like had a huge part in any like big mods or anything. Um, like Disgustor with the Vanitas and Aqua mods, I've like helped with like HUD stuff.
Mm.
I'm usually like the go-to texture guy for things like that, like the little Sora sprite that shows up on the screen and
Oh,
like the
yeah,
main
yeah.
menu title screen and stuff. Like I assemble that stuff, and
Mm.
thanks to a newer OpenKH tool, we can now edit the animations for things like menus and stuff. So yeah, I've just kind of been around. Like I've had my hand here and there in a few things. Just that's a couple to like.
Well,
I
I feel
guess,
like it's
give names to.
so, because things that are popular are like, that's what's given weight. But it's like there's so many other things in the modding community that happen that just aren't like brought to light, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I don't want you to like downplay what you've done, because obviously you've done a
No,
lot. Like,
Yeah, no, I get it and I appreciate that. I've definitely been around the block. I feel like I feel like I have a fair bit of experience under my belt modding this game, but KH2 in particular. But I'm definitely like paling in comparison to like these two guys. Like, I don't really program, and I'm kind of lazy with like my reverse engineering, so I don't do it often enough. But I mean, I'm willing to like help anyone with anything that I can, really. So yeah, like if someone just asks me for help, I'll you know give a little insight as to like what I do know, and even help people figure things out, how to use tools and stuff like
I
that.
think one thing Vlad and I both have in common is that aside from HD Vacation, neither one of us have really worked on our big own singular mod package that is on the scale of something like Vanitas or Aqua. But we've both created a lot of assets as a sort of modders resource that that other modders use in their
Okay.
projects.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah,
It's like a hub of resources and assets that people can go to, instead of them having to take their own time to get all that
kind
stuff.
of. Yeah, and generally we try to like just provide like the how-to, like how to use them and further modify things like as needed.
Yeah, that's really
yeah,
cool. I feel like it can be really easy to just kind of hoard that stuff, because it probably took a lot of work to even figure out how to get that stuff. So it's really cool
Yeah.
that both of you guys make that available to to people that want to work on modding.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Xeeynamo? What are some projects you've worked on besides OpenKH? I think you said you did translations, right? Before.
Yeah, I did the Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts Build by Sleep translation. I made the Italian translation of Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Build by Sleep Final Mix, and provided to Key to Truth, the tool I use for the Italian translation, to help him to translate the English version. Then there is a gap where I don't remember what I did. And then I think that I left the community for about 4 or 5 years before returning back and worked with both the Kingdom Save Editor and an effect editor, a particle effect editor that I just decided at a certain point where I don't want to do this. But, and I remember that was the time actually OpenKH, the very first piece of code was actually this particle effect editor. But that was slightly before I proposed to Disgustor, Vlad, and other people to have the idea to bring back the old OpenKH that I was developing by myself with another modder that is not here anymore. I mean, he's alive.
No, yeah, I get what you mean.
Back in 2013, I think, something like that.
Okay, and you said particle effect editor. Is that like you could pull any particle effect from from KH2 and view it, or?
Yeah, so the problem is about there was no viewer, because rendering the particle effects is quite a complex operation to do. So I just had like this tool where there are a bunch of buttons and some digits that you, of course, you don't understand anything because like there is no label or anything. So it was really horribly written. But it was basically was connecting to the emulator, and you could modify values on the fly, and it was applying them to the game. That tool was mostly for me to understand how particle effects worked.
Yeah, for sure. Huh, that's really cool. I love
that
if
was
you've
the
seen my
first.
channel at all, you know I look way too closely at particles.
Oh yeah.
So whenever I hear particle effects, I'm like, oh, I'm listening. Yeah, tell me more. So
If I'm not mistaken, the particle effect editor that you made was kind of like the gateway into starting OpenKH as well.
Pretty much, yeah.
I remember that being the first. That was one of the first things showed off when the Discord server started, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was not even called OpenKH server.
Yeah, back
Oh,
then
yeah.
it was I think PS4 shenanigans is what I called it, because it originally started as like a 0.2 and Dream Drop Distance HD like research kind of thing, because
okay.
a PS4 exploit had recently dropped, so we were able to like extract the games, and we were using it to research mostly 0.2 and Dream Drop, I guess. But yeah, it just kind of whenever OpenKH started, we just kind of decided, well, why not just repurpose what we have? You know, we can include what we have discovered before from 0.2 and whatever into OpenKH, even if it's not the primary focus. So yeah, we just kind of repurposed that tool. But yeah, the particle effect editor was definitely, I think, the first topic that kind of like spawned discussion of what if we try OpenKH again?
And so, great segue. What is OpenKH?
I think
That's the
Xeeynamo
hardest question.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say, admittedly, I think that's like the hardest question here, because
OpenKH is not one singular thing.
yeah,
It's a hub of documentation. It's an open source game engine. It's various editors for the different file formats of the games. That's why it's so difficult, I think, to describe it to somebody outside of our community. It's because it's sort of this hub of all things KH modding.
pretty much. Yeah, I think if I had to like put it in the simplest terms possible and still get the point across, OpenKH is a restructuring of the previous modding community to be better and more open, as it's in the name. Like we want everything to be accessible, from friendships to the tools that we use to just tearing down like the barriers to what mods can do, and even more than like beyond that. It's definitely a hard question to answer, because it's just got so many like complicated parts to it.
Okay, so if I'm understanding right, OpenKH is kind of this term that covers all the documentation for like reverse engineering, or just like modding in general of everything, or
Both.
Okay.
And more.
So,
Yeah, it covers everything from the raw code to the documents that tell you like how files work, how they're built, and just even like just the server is it's blanketed under OpenKH. Like it's all just one big thing.
So it's essentially just, creating modding that's more accessible for people.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
But also another thing that I want to point that was really important back at the time when we had the discussion on what OpenKH should be, is that over the years we saw people working great things in the Kingdom Hearts community, but then they left without providing us any documentation, tools, or the entire knowledge left with them. So with OpenKH, one of the objectives is that to create some kind, it's not a wiki, but the concept is very similar. Where every time that we find something new, every time we reverse engineer a specific format, we put everything into a space that is publicly accessible, and everyone can modify it. and also is not is centralized currently in one single repository. They call them repository in GitHub.
Oh yeah.
But everyone is free to clone that, to make their own copy if for whatever reason we decide to not maintain that anymore.
Mhm.
So in that sense, it's open because everyone is free to take it, modify it, make their own contributions, and the entire knowledge is put into a single place.
Okay, that's really interesting. Like, the only other modding kind of experience I've ever seen is in Call of Duty, and it's just vastly different because there everyone kind of was figuring out how to mod the game, but then we're keeping it for them, not really keeping them for themselves, but they weren't putting it up on like an open source kind of project because they wanted that experience, they wanted those assets and everything they found to go under their name. So it's really cool to see,
Yeah, a lot of what OpenKH is, I think, is just removing the ego that people have from the project itself. Because if somebody wants to create, say, a custom model, they can come here and learn how to do that without that information basically being lost. Or like if somebody wants to know how this file works so that they can do X with Y, they can do that too. Whereas previously you would see things like, have you seen the original Crazy Cat's refoutable Sephiroth?
No. Well, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it for myself.
So he basically, for that project, created a custom cutscene, but no documentation exists on how he did that.
Gotcha.
He just sort of created it and released it.
Yeah.
And it was up to the user to use it and go, wow, there's a new cutscene in this. Whereas in OpenKH, we've documented that format, and Xeeynamo's documented that format, and you can learn exactly how cutscenes work, and you could reproduce the effect that he got in his mod.
That's really cool. The first thing that brings to mind is there was a Japanese YouTuber. I'm blanking on the name, but he was, like a prodigy at KHT, right? And then one day he just deleted all of his content and left.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember his name.
It's like Yachi or Nanase or something.
Nanase?
Yeah, something like that. And I think he's back now. But there was just that moment in the community of like, no one recorded the footage. Like, no one had the footage of like these amazing things happening, and it's just gone. Like, we can try to, replicate it. But there was one where he like cycled through all the drive forms while he was fighting Lingering Will. And it was just like, we just can't see that anymore. Like we have to wait for someone else to be that skilled or go through all that. And so I don't know, that's just the first thing that brought to my mind. That's really cool, like to have all of that kind of in
and
one
briefly
place.
I want to throw it out there that I wasn't trying to talk down on Crazy Cats. He's an incredibly nice guy, and he's incredibly skilled and very intelligent, and he's one of my closest friends. But he simply doesn't have time to document everything that he does, and that's one of the problems. Is I think he himself has forgotten how he even made the custom cutscene. So
that mod
I
released,
didn't think you were throwing shade or anything.
That mod released like 5 years ago now, I think. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like totally forgotten at this point.
So for the casual Kingdom Hearts community, what does OpenKH mean for them, if it means anything for them, besides like more mods coming out?
I mean, I think it is maybe not quite there yet, but I think it is going to be a gateway to make like the regular player able to do at least basic mods. Like, we try to make our tools fairly simple and user friendly. So we like any of our documentation. Like I've written a few guides on how to use tools, and I've started recording a few how-tos as well. I just walk people step by step through the process and show, it's really easy. You just open this, you click on that, and then boom, it's done. Like I personally want a lot more people to be involved with modding Kingdom Hearts because I do love these games. I love the series,
Mm-hmm.
and I know other people do as well. And I just think being able to like say that you've made something and you can see it in one of your favorite games is just amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's so cool.
really cool to look at.
Yeah, so I guess my idea was always like, oh, OpenKH is just like, you know, a .exe that I click on and and it opens up and it has this list of mods that I can put on. I don't think
Well, that's one thing.
Uh,
I think another thing that's overlooked is the sheer complexity that will be possible in mod creation with OpenKH, and that affects both advanced users and people who are just playing the mods. Because I genuinely foresee a future when you'll be able to play, like the way you see Pokemon ROM hacks, and it'll have like an entirely custom story with like custom events and
mhm.
entirely custom things happening. I foresee a future with that happening with basically every Kingdom Hearts game if OpenKH continues to progress as steadily as it has been over the past year.
Yeah, and I think our game engine is like a testament to that because so far it's mostly just compatible with KH2 files. However, with like developments on like the model side of things, just importing Birth by Sleep models into KH2, they work in OpenKH because of that. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, the idea is eventually we will have a game engine that can just read all of these file types and you can like add scripts and stuff to toss them together. You could make a custom Kingdom Hearts game. It would basically be like a sandbox, or if you wanted, you could just simply use it to play through a vanilla game with, a crap ton of mods.
Oh, okay.
It's
My understanding was it was just oh, sorry, go ahead, Xeeynamo.
Sorry. No, I will add that thanks to the engine that is currently in development, you can potentially port the game to every console or even on PC. Like, for example, run Kingdom Hearts games natively on a computer, Windows, Mac, Linux, or even into a Nintendo Switch, for example.
Yeah.
Or just have the opportunity since we are going to develop this game engine that can read any asset from any game, you can in theory play Kingdom Hearts 1 into Kingdom Hearts 2 game engine, or like into Kingdom Hearts 2 maps, you play with Build by Sleep characters, or like, for example, potentially we can bring the multiplayer experience from Build by Sleep into our engine, so we can play with every character to every boss from every game.
That would be cool.
But we are talking about Magic right now because we don't have anything there in place yet. So we are talking
From my
about
understanding. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
Oh, it's fine. Go
on. My understanding is Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep have similar file formats. Is that right? And that's why it's so easy to.
Not really. It's more like the closest games are Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, maybe that's what I heard. Because I know the Melody and Memory has their formats similar in a way that KH2 can read it, right?
No, that's a Unity game. You might be thinking Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance are running on the same engine, and they utilize a lot of the same file formats. And Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 utilize a lot of the same logic, but not necessarily file formats. So there is some overlap, but
someone had sent me like they had taken the Kyrie and Sora models from Melody and Memory and had ported them into KH2, I thought.
Oh yeah, well you can import any custom model you want into Kingdom Hearts 2 right now.
Huh. Okay.
You could take Dante from the Devil May Cry series and put him in KH2 right now if you want.
Okay, interesting. But that doesn't have anything to do with file formats. It's just the point that model swapping is with KH2.
Yeah, you can take any model. You can create your custom model. Like you could model a character right now, and you could import it as the Kingdom Hearts 2 model format.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically just a conversion.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, the more I talk, I'm like, oh no, I'm way out of my depth here.
No, you're fine.
So, there's an open source, well, there's an engine, but it's not a KH engine. It's an engine you guys have created that can run Kingdom Hearts 2 or any Kingdom Hearts game.
Kind of. Basically, it's just a ground-up engine. I think it uses Monogame as a base.
Okay.
And which is just like a subset of like tools in Microsoft's .NET like language that is just being built upon, and just as we go, we're just like adding support for new file types and stuff. So right now, it can't really like run any particular game, not yet anyway. But we can open like the map files and the model files, and I think we have some pretty funny but decent animation support. And Xeeynamo actually worked really hard and has some really nice results with getting cutscenes loaded. We can run like events now. We can read them and have them play out near identically for the most part to how they do in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, so,
Yeah,
okay, so it's not even porting it. It's actually an engine that's
It is-
running the code for KH2?
Kind of,
Yes.
yeah. We're kind of like figuring out how, like we're breaking down KH2, figuring out how it works, and then rewriting it using our own code to effectively emulate it. Like
so that's
without
why it's
actually
not in danger of
emulating
a C&D, because you're not using their code, you're building your own code.
it. Correct.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we
Because
are providing.
in theory,
Go
what
ahead.
we are dreaming of is that you can just place your CD, your original Kingdom Hearts 2 or Kingdom Hearts 2 Fan Mix CD on your computer, and the engine will read automatically all the files there.
Yeah, exactly. We're providing the tools to grab what you need, but other than that, it'll be like fully automatic. You can just pop in, as he said, your CD, and like if you have a disk drive, and the engine would like pick up on it and read the files it needs, and just do whatever. And then customizability is also an important factor, such as making mods and stuff.
Wow, okay, this is much deeper than I originally thought. That's awesome.
I don't think any of the core gameplay logic is in there yet, but you can view cutscenes, you can view models, you can view it reads these files from the game. Well, not from the game, but it reads the files how the game reads it, but it's written using our own code. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Which is even open source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is open source. So yeah, anyone can like make changes or
That's
add
crazy.
to it and
That's
stuff,
so
yeah.
much. I'm sure that's so much work. Wow. Okay. Do you guys have like a place for people to get more information, or like I know you mentioned a Discord, but I'm sure that's like a private team
No,
Discord.
our Discord is actually open.
Oh, it's open. Okay.
Yeah, on our GitHub page, there's like a little README document, and then there's a link there that you can just click, and it brings you straight to our Discord server.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I think it's OpenKH.dev.
Discord.openkh.dev.
Okay.
Yeah.
is the link to the Discord server.
Yeah. Shoot me the link to the GitHub on Discord, and
do that.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out and talking about this. Sorry if I'm not asking like
No,
I
you're
don't
fine.
have a huge knowledge of modding, so hopefully I was able to ask good questions. Do you guys have anything else you want to plug or say before we end it?
Well, I'm personally glad that like this is actually happening, because even people who join the server have had a bit of confusion as to like what OpenKH is, and we've had to explain it a couple times and reiterate to people. And phrasing it is always just kind of a little funky because again, it's just like this big thing. It's a blanket term. It covers like all aspects possible, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, hopefully. I think this should just clear some things up, because, again, we want as many people involved as we can, even if they're just providing moral support and just watching what happens. Like that
Oh, most
helps.
definitely, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's really fun too. Like, it's just fun interacting with people.
Yeah, for sure. Disgustor or Xeeynamo, do you guys have any other closing statements, remarks, whatever what the word is?
Yeah, it's in the name. It's open. It's a community. You can come here. You can learn. A lot of the stuff is archived in Discord and documented on GitHub. So if there's anything you ever wanted to know about how certain things in the Kingdom Hearts series work, this is a perfect place for you to be able to go and learn all of the information that you ever wanted to know.
Well, the project is open source, and we are waiting your contribution. And you do not need to be a programmer to do so.
Yeah, we don't require programming to like be like, you know, like the gateway to helping. Like, just if you figure out how to use one of our tools, like if we don't have a guide for it or anything, like anyone who figures that out can, you know, write a tutorial for it or record a video or whatever. Like anything helps. Any contribution.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, and again, I'll leave a link to both their GitHub and Discord server in the description. So if you're interested in, you know, getting into the modding community, literally everyone I've talked to in the modding community has been so open and inviting, and it's been really cool. Like, just learning about, you know, how all this stuff works. So be sure to do that. Do you guys have socials that you want to plug, or are you guys active on social media? I'll leave those down below too.
Yeah,
you can link my YouTube. I don't really have anything else.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm active on YouTube and Twitter, so I'll probably
nice.
shoot you those.
Cool.
I'm active on Google Plus.
Google Plus.
I forgot about Google Plus.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
And yeah, guys, go check out the description. Follow these guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.